There's a couple of things that I want to talk about on this video. One is the idea of a plan, and you'll notice that this plan, maybe it appears to get narrower as it gets towards the top, and that's because of the perspective that gets caused by the camera. But when we draw it, we would draw the plan as a bird's eye view, as if we're flying over the top of it. And this is going to measure 8 inches, and that's going to measure 8 inches. And these sticks and stones are going to measure pretty close to what they actually measure in real life, or you're going to do your best. So, and you'll notice in the drawing that we can't see through things. So if a stone is on top of another stone, then we can't see the under parts. We can't see the other part of the form of that. Same thing with the sticks. If a stick's on top of another stick in a plan, we won't be able to see anything below it. The only thing we can see is the lines that are formed on the top. So this stick is over the top, this one comes over the other sticks, and so we can only see bits and pieces of what remains. So that's generally the rules for a plan, and we can get later on this semester, we'll get into more complex discussion of it. But the next thing I want to talk about is how to do negative space drawing. One of the parts of this assignment is to create a drawing that reflects the negative spaces, the spaces between your sticks and stones. So rather than highlighting the sticks and stones in this drawing, we're going to highlight the areas around the sticks and stones. So I'm going to take my trace and lay a layer of trace over the top of this. And I'm going to start to look for my negative spaces. So in this particular form, I can start by drawing, I can see that my box has an edge, and I can use that as my border for my negative space drawing. So that gives me my parameters. I don't have to go any further than that. And in a bit, I'll talk about what happens if your sticks and stones go off the drawing or go off the base. But right now, we're going to stick with this one where everything is contained within the base. So we're going to look for those negative spaces. And notice I'm just tracing out the exterior parts of the form. I'm not gonna look at these lines. I'm just looking at the lines of where there is negative space. So I'm almost in my imagination, I've stopped looking at the actual sticks and stones and started to look at the spaces that were left by the sticks and stones, or are surrounding the sticks and stones. So this is how you're going to do your drawing. And I may not make you sit through the whole thing, but I'm going to try to give you at least enough example that you can see what it is that I mean. So feel free to fast forward it to the next portion of this if you're getting tired of watching me. So you can see I'm tracing around the outer edges of my objects. And there may be some spaces in between, inside the middle of this. We'll have to take a look. So there may be 1 or 2 little spaces in here where I can see through to the base of the box, and so I'm going to include those. And you can see I've outlined pretty much the whole thing. There's just, like I said, there's just a couple places in the middle where I can see through the sticks into the base. So the next part of this would be to use this area as my form. So I'm going to think about these shapes, the places where I'm doing what I call pocheting. I'm adding, I'm designating areas by filling them in with my pencil. I'm going to look for these areas and start to try to think of these as the form. So this is going to start to take the form, be the form. So there's just a little bit more to fill in. Notice that I'm trying to keep my pencil strokes kind of in a similar direction, and I'm really kind of trying to notice what these negative shapes are. And we'll find that as we start to concentrate on negative shapes, that we understand quite a bit more about how space works. And so this may be an artistic drawing, and I appreciate that you put in some time to make it a beautiful drawing, but it also is really about understanding how our forms that we choose create space and what kind of space it creates behind it and around it. So I'm going to put this underneath that. You can see that's an example of a negative space drawing. Negative space drawing. And this is part of our presentation. So this should be to scale. So you can just do this how I did it, right over your plan. You don't need to draw a whole new sticks and stones. You're just going to do this right over your plan. Hopefully you'll notice too in here that I can't see the lines of the sticks or the stones anymore. All I can see, all I'm really concentrating on here is on this negative space. I'm really trying to see what kind of negative space gets created by my form. Maybe in my plan I have objects that actually go off the edge of my base, and I'm still going to do that negative space drawing, but now what I want to do is I want to increase the size of the area that I am going to think about as defining my border. And so I can make a box, or I can be more abstract. And so now my space is my negative space is actually going to extend out. Let's go this way. My negative space is going to extend out. Let me get to it. Out to here in this case. And my negative space is wrapping around here, and out to here on this location, out to here, and I'll come back to it so I can show you. In this case, I've just extended out my perimeter a little bit so that I can cover the areas that I want to. So now my negative shape that I'm going to concentrate on right now is coming out this far. So, and you can do that as a straight line, like a extended box, if you are so inclined. And you can see it's going out further than the border of my original box. That's fine. But I'm going to try to do it in a strategic way. I want to think about what my perimeter is going to look like now. So you could do it with a straight, a box, or you could come out and start to think about it like it's just a general shape, that you're giving it sort of a generalized form, and you're not worried about its exact borders. So let me show you what I mean here. We're coming in here, but maybe it comes in and out. Maybe it expands a little bit. So you have a couple of different ways to think about it if your project actually comes off the box. It could be a nice straight line here, or it could be that it just kind of comes out towards the edge. And this is where the artistic side of you gets to play. So, and this is in case, right, when your sticks and stones are coming off the edge of the box. So, okay, hope that helps.